Hey everybody out there in Think Tank Land, Brian here, one half of the Think Tank guys, and I'm here with another episode for our 52 Ways to Put Our Policy to Work project. Remember, check us out, Facebook and YouTube, hashtag 52 Ways Project. This week's episode, I have to give a lot of credit to a fellow think tanker who I was talking to within the past week, and he kind of reminded me of an idea I had, but something he's already using, an investment he's already using. And he said, Brian, are you going to talk about using our policies to cycle dollars into P2P lending and back out? And I said, that's a great idea. I've been meaning to do it. And I got to give Sean, I'll give you credit. I got to give Sean some credit here. And I figured I'd throw this together and kind of just show you some of the numbers of how it works. If anything, it gives you an idea on how to make a couple extra bucks. Also opens up your eyes to a whole platform and multiple vendors that are available to do P2P. And I'll tell you more about that in a second. And then also just reminds us how to use our policy. So P2P, peer-to-peer, what it stands for is peer-to-peer. Let me actually, should have did this. Yeah. So P2P stands for peer-to-peer. Right? So for those of you who know already, just hang with me for a second. Really what we're just talking about is instead of going to a bank to borrow or using a credit card, which is virtually a bank to borrow, we go to another person to borrow. Now, in our think tank videos, we've already talked about being the bank for your family. We've already talked about kind of being the family bank. We've already talked about private lending on real estate, secured by real estate. P2P is a little different because these are personal loans. These are personal loans. Typically, they don't have any type of collateral associated with them. But when you do some homework, you'll notice that there's a big marketplace out there for them. And it's a good place to earn some interest if you're comfortable with the platform, P2P platform, and you understand the vendors. And there's a couple big ones, Lending Club, Folio. What were some of the other ones here? Let's look at the second page here. This is a Forbes article from last year, just talking about this a little bit. All right, it's going to take a little bit for this thing to just update the next page. But there's a few platforms out there to use for this, and quite frankly, depending on the level of risk you take, and the risk involved with this is whether the person pays back the loan or not. Depending on the level of risk you take, people are earning anywhere from like 7% to 15% plus, right? And there's a lot to learn here. Please understand, if you're going to step in this direction, make sure you go and learn. And oh, here's the other one, by the way. Prosper was one of the other big ones, and Upstart was another one, and then there was Funding Circle. I'm very familiar with Lending Club, and quite frankly in Pennsylvania, for the Pennsylvania clients out there, you'll recognize that they end up forcing us to use a secondary market platform called Folio, and all that's kind of deeper conversations than where we are right now. But quite frankly, I just wanted to make sure that we understand that we have our policy where our money's working, where our money's working in here. And what's nice and favorable about the policy is that it's, the money's growing. It's not volatile. It's not exposed to loss. It's not exposed to tax. But here's the deal. If we want to cycle the dollars and move them into like a P2P platform, we can do that, but we can borrow against the policy, not interrupt what it's doing here. So it's going to keep doing its thing. Borrow against the policy, invest here, and then as this money gets paid back, and I'm only going to look at it annually, but technically it gets paid back monthly. So this could even work more in your favor. But as it gets paid back, you can cycle it back into your policy, and really you have your money working in two places, which has been the theme of a lot of our think tank videos here. So let's just look at a couple quick numbers, and then of course if you have any questions about this, just ask Eric or myself, and we'll kind of help you understand what's going on here. Okay. So a couple quick numbers. Here's an example of money in our policy. I'm even going to be conservative. I'm just saying growing at 4.5% not taxed. After a course of a year, you earn $450 on $10,000. here is what happens if we borrow against and we don't put any of that money back throughout the year. This actually would be lower if in fact we paid it back on a monthly basis. And then this is the P2P lending account earning 10%. So you can see we earn $450 in our policy, typically no questions asked nowadays. If we borrowed against, there'd be a little bit of a spread. I'm just showing in year one if we did not pay a dime back throughout that entire year. But in the P2P lending account, let's just assume we earn anywhere from 9 to 12, and I'm just going to assume like around 10%, just somewhere in the middle there. I know it's not exactly in the middle, but somewhere in the middle there, earn $1,000. So really what we end up seeing over the course of time, let's do some quick math here. We're going to earn $450, no questions asked, right? We're going to earn $1,000, and then depending on your tax bracket, you would get taxed on that because this is not inside of an IRA or anything like that. So that plus $450. And then if you decided not to pay anything back against the policy throughout the course of the year, because that, again, that interest rate would go down if you did in fact knock it down. I'm just going to play worst case scenario. You can earn $700 after tax on the $10,000 that if it was in your policy only, it would have earned $450. So, you know, if you understand how to, if you do your homework on P2P lending and you see it as an option to put some money to work, and there's dollars in your policy that you're itching to use somewhere else, P2P could be a place where you do it because there's a lot of opportunity there, especially once you understand. Especially when you understand how P2P works. You can put your cash value to work. Put your policy to work. Hashtag 52 Ways Project. Until next time, if you have any questions, ask Erica. Until next time, stay prosperous.